Hiya, hiya. It's Joey from the Bird's Nest. That's where I'm broadcasting from. I think I got the bird here. Bird is standing on ceremony. She's very cool, you know. I mean, she just, I try to not put her on my hair before the show because, you know, there's nothing worse than poop drippings when you're talking to somebody prestigious. That's why I try not to have important guests. That's why I hang around with Jay.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I don't have to worry about it. There's a company now that's called, it's called Prepare, with the pear being the fruit of the moment. And that company has just come out with their logo, which is a pear, and Apple is mad. See, Apple doesn't want a pear. We got a pear here. Where am I here? Oh, there's two apples don't equal an orange, but this could turn out to be a lemon. Anyway, here it is. The pineapple. They could have done that. They'd really be close to it.
Yeah.
You know, this is what happens when you leave the world to a bunch of fruits. You know, I mean, this is where it goes. You can't win. Prepare. You know, they're trying to have a little pun. So I love punography, and that's my favorite thing, you know, because I've been doing it all my life. And someone used to write to me at NBC when Jay and I had the afternoon show on WNBC radio. Someone says I was going to go to pun hell. And I'm being sentenced to pun hell because I did so many of them. And I try to stay away from them, you know, but I try to work around them a little bit. We were in the 30 Rockefeller Center building, which is right across from Television City Music Hall. I don't know why the hell they call it Radio City. There ain't no radio. There hasn't been radio since the Titanic. And nobody listened to that either. So, you know, must have been an AM signal. So, you know, I went downstairs to the corner bar, which is called Hurley's at 30 Rockefeller Center. And Jay, you and I dragged you into trouble a couple of times. And I would like to tell the folks who are watching this, those who are stuck for entertainment and are forced to click on something.
Yes.
And you didn't know what was here, and you got us. Yeah. And I don't know how long you're going to stay with us because, no, you don't know. And nobody stays on anything too long if you don't grab them in a second and a half, you know, and everybody's so self-centered. I don't know how anybody ever doesn't stick a camera up their nose. You know, we have so many different ideas on that, but I want to go back to what I started, which is that Jay Sorensen was always very conservative, very ordinary, and dependable, a follow-through guy. He always did everything right, and I did everything wrong. I was undependable. I was a jerk-off in the job, but that's how you make progress in radio and television. Yeah. You know, I mean, I was on the same station as Howard Stern and Imus and Soupy Sales. What the hell do you expect?
Yeah.
What do you think? You know, you got a circus act here, you know?
Yeah. There's only one place for people like us.
That's what it said, didn't it? I was upside down on the billboard, if you recall. And then Soupy Sales, I got to tell a side story now. Soupy Sales yelled at me, you know, because he says, why are you wearing upside down? He says, nobody knows who you are upside up. So, it's not, he said, it's not cool. And I said, well, look at you. You're in the middle. And he had a red sweater on and it was 100 degrees. He said, because red is the color that people look at first. And I was thinking of all the billboards that have that color on it. And I'm thinking, what's the one that really stands out? Target.
Orange? No. The one that stands out is school bus yellow and black lettering.
Well, no, but this is a commercial. Target stores.
Target,
you know.
yeah. Target.
No, red. Yeah, wherever. Yeah. Well, anyway, back to the story here of dragging you into something. I decided that it would be a good idea if we just could get on the Today Show. And I wanted to bring Imus and Soupy Sales, and they didn't want us on the Today Show because we were not, we didn't do anything wrong or we didn't do anything right. So, you know, when you're neutral, you don't belong on that show. I mean, what are you going to do? Hold at that time, I think Al Roker was actually, first beginning, he was having trouble with his magic marker, you know, because he really hated doing the weather, you know.
Yeah, I know.
but the fact is that he was entertaining, and Willard Scott, wasn't he the Clarabelle at one time? Howdy Doodie's Clarabelle, Willard Scott.
Yes.
And he was a McDonald's clown. Is that what he was?
He did. He did so many things back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was the early weather guy, and then of course our good friend came along and replaced him. We may not be good friends after what I just said, but but we had a little color breakthrough at that time. He was trying to use a beige marker for the weather.
A beige marker.
I don't know where this whole color thing is going, but everybody's so damn sensitive. It's a wonder that we're not selling all these cosmetic things that hide our anger. There's got to be something that hides our anger. Everybody's pissed off at something. Have you noticed that, Jay?
Yeah. Even people want to be pissed off about something. And
I'm the only one that's not. You know why? Because
Why?
I'm going to die. Because I'm going to die pretty soon. And what do I care?
You know something I don't know?
No, but it's that age. They push you out anyway. It's an exit plan for elderly. I'm not elderly, but I'm elderly. You go from orderly. I guess you go from internally to orderly to elderly, and then you go.
I hate to break it to you. You're an old man now.
I am. I'm an old man. Is that what I am? Well, if I'm
an old man, then
I'm not an old man, am I? What the hell does that mean? I mean, am I going to get a part playing in a movie as an old man? I don't think that ever could really work where it's disciplined, where you have to show up and do the work.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's work.
You'd have to be there at 6 a.m. Never happened.
Yeah, if you're up all night doing drugs, that's easy. I had a story I was going to tell here about you, dragging you into the Johnny Carson thing. Yeah. I thought it would be a good idea, since we didn't do the Today Show, and then we tried to get that middle show, whatever that was called back then. There was the Today Show, the Home Show, Tomorrow Show. They had all these. I mean, everything that was about the calendar. So I thought we did the Never Show, the never gonna happen show.
The ain't gonna happen show.
No. So we went out and we started our own network, and it now is called Peacock. But that's what we did. We got tired of their bullshit, and we went out and put on our own digital channel. Yeah. Which is what a lot of people are doing now, because they're tired of what they're watching on television. Too much black, too much women, too much politics, too much of everything that's overdone on commercial television. Too many commercials on commercial television. A lot of people don't know why there's so many commercials. So let me tell you why, just so people understand this. You ought to be let in on some of this so that your choices are better, because they certainly aren't good at the polls. So let's do it here now.
We're taking a look behind the curtain now. Yes.
Oh, yeah. And there's a guy pulling the lever. And I'm going to get back to the story I started with dragging you into this in a second. But I got rerouted. I rerouted myself again.
Okay.
What was I talking about? I'm like Professor Erwin Corey.
Joey needs a reboot.
That's it. No,
talking about everybody.
Everybody has their own show. That's what I was getting at. We're all self-centered, and people are impatient with watching their own stuff, let alone someone else's stuff. And the exchange of information now is so amateur. It doesn't polish, because people who are doing this are not trained in that field.
Right.
However, now you find people who are very adept at the technology, but they still don't have an act. They have nothing to offer, and yet they want to be on the screen because they have a nice lighting system, a good sound system. They invested in equipment, and they can give themselves a podcast or some sort of an audience and tell the family that they have a show. I don't know. I mean, this is got to be one sick family. Got to be the Manson family to enjoy this show. But the show that you put on the air, you'll have a hard time getting people to watch, because it's not on. First of all, it probably doesn't score a home run easily. And the other thing is you have to create a habit. And people forget all about everybody all day long now because we don't.
Too many choices. Too many choices.
Well, and there's no direction. There's no direction. Right. I mean, we don't have a reason to return. And to further complicate it with this pandemic is the sports now. They're making a sport out of color. The Black Lives Matter is getting more attention than the national anthem. And it used to be the other way around. We forget the knee. Now we're on the T-shirts. And I mean, this is the truth. And yet nobody wants to hear this. A guy got fired for calling them colored people the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is bullshit. This is so ridiculous to not let anybody in a free society be free. What is freedom of speech? Isn't that what it's supposed to be? And the black people who have freedom of speech also, this is not color. Yeah. Everybody's got freedom of speech.
That's true.
And that doesn't mean that you get up there when you're getting an award and then start telling everybody how oppressed you've been. I could go through my whole life story. You could hear all the tragedy of my life. And I was going to have Maurice the comic on today because he's like Sammy Davis. And Sammy Davis died at 65 years old, probably the best entertainer in the country with all talents, dancing, singing, playing all these instruments, entertaining, being funny, doing stand-up, hanging around with the Rat Pack. What distanced him from them actually was when John Kennedy became president and didn't want him to be involved because the color thing wasn't ready yet. Although Robert Kennedy, his brother, championed it later. I mean, it was involved. It was involved. So what happened? I'm telling the story for a reason. Sammy Davis was a terrific entertainer. I saw him in Golden Boy on Broadway. He wanted to do a Broadway show. He married a white girl. He became a Jew. You talk about going against the grain. And I identify with him. So Sammy Davis was a wonderful talent who had a lot of issues, and so do I. But, we've all struggled to move along in our society to make a name for ourselves so that we can get popular. And sometimes it's just an innate ability, a talent, and the other times it strictly is for money. And then other people want to be famous. They love everybody to adore them. I don't know. There's so many psychological factors here. That's what I wanted to talk about today, but I wanted to tell the Jay story first. Jay has played it straight all his life, never did anything, never made any left turns. That's why you didn't hear of him, because he had to do something really stupid. And like we all did, Imus and Howard Stern and Larry King even, he wrote bad checks to get attention. Well, he got the attention of people who checks he was writing.
Yeah.
I have an idea that we weren't going to be on the Today Show. And I thought the midday show was not going to be for us at NBC Television. And Jack Cafferty, who was doing Live at 5 with Sue Sims. Is that her name? Sue Simmons?
Sue Simmons.
Yeah. I said to him, Jack, why don't you put us on the show? Be a nice promotion for what we're doing, even though it's on while we're on the radio. Because we were on in the afternoon, and he was on at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Live at 5, I think.
Live at 5, yeah.
Yeah, which probably, knowing NBC, they put it on at 3. But so I said, Jack, why don't we get on there? He says, Joey, get an agent, get an act. He says, that's how you get on the show. Well, I didn't really have an act, and I didn't have an agent, so I didn't get the show. And I thought, well, maybe we'll do the Tonight Show. The hell with all these guys. They're all local anyway, and they're snobs. And the Today Show is too early. Let's just get Johnny Carson involved here.
Let's go right to the top. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had met and been friends with Brandon Tartikoff. Earlier, there was another guy named Fred Silverman. And the president of NBC was also Grant Tinker, who was married to Harlan Moore's husband. And I was friendly with Mary and Grant in L.A. So I called. And I said, we should bring Johnny Carson back to New York, because that L.A. thing it's stale. It's the same thing. It's always plugging the movies, plugging the series, the same people over and over. Although with great respect, there were wonderful artists who were funny and entertaining, and they still would come to New York. Anybody would come to New York. Everybody goes to New York during their career anyway to do something. So I was up in this commissary. and I started to, in those days, I Xeroxed copies of Bring Johnny Home. And I tried to get Jay to buy into it at first. And Jay, you were on the other side of the desk, and you didn't think it was such a smart idea you didn't think it ever would happen, maybe. I don't know.
Well, my thought was that he moved there for a reason, because he wanted to be in California. He wanted to live there. He wanted to be there. And let's face it, part of the entertainment complex television anyway, moved to LA as well. And that was my thought at the time.
So every day I would go on a field trip. You would sit up in the studio and run the controls with producing all this stuff. And I'm outside with the folks.
Yes.
Trying to find someone, since we were at WNBC in Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey, trying to find someone who was from Connecticut, New York, or New Jersey. And in the Rockefeller Center, the only time anybody is from New York is when they light the tree.
Right.
Or on Saturday when you're going to watch George Michael or one of the acts at the time, who were popular. Right. Yeah. One of the concert acts. Yeah. Otherwise, nobody's there from New York.
No, they're from the Netherlands. They're from Nebraska. Anything that begins with an N, Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought we would probably get a little steam for the ratings, but I was wrong. So we're carrying signs around, and the signs were "Bring Johnny Home." So now I got the public involved in bringing Johnny Carson back to New York, and we got everybody all riled up. We even went to Shea Stadium for the Yankees game, and we did that too.
It was a softball game. It was not the Yankees. It was the Mets, but that's fine.
Well, whoever the hell it is, it was a ball team.
Yeah.
Are you on the corrections committee here? So,
yes.
So I went to Hurley's downstairs, which is the bar on the corner, and I interviewed Ed McMahon's stool, which should have been bronzed because he spent so much more time in the bar than he did on the air.
Yes.
And I was shaking it up, and then we lit the Christmas tree wrongfully. We've done a lot of things that were like raccoons do at a bad picnic.
Yeah.
And I was calling the carpet. And
yes, you
as
were.
a matter of fact, Johnny Carson told Freddie Silver, his DeCordova, his producer, to call this thing off.
Yeah.
And what really topped it off was when I was upstairs having a hamburger in the commissary, and Tom Brokaw stopped me. He was a newsman at the time, on the network.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "What the hell is this all about?" I said, "Oh, I'm trying to bring Johnny back." He says, "He didn't die, did he?" I said, No, we're bringing him back to New York." So we had a lot of resistance from the management, and Johnny stayed in LA, and I stopped talking about it. So
yeah. But your intentions were very pure there, and it was for entertainment value.
Yeah, well, I thought it was good.
They didn't see that for some reason.
Well, they got to know who we were.
Oh.
that was the other part,
Yeah.
I just don't see. There's no straight line in show business, anyway.
No.
I mean,
Jack Cafferty didn't like you from the beginning. I mean, I remember he dissed you one time. You came back and you were livid. You went to the commissary and sat down with him, and you were fit to be tied. You said something.
No. I liked him enough. You know what? He was mad at me for taking the guests from his show.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
They had show at Live at 5, and I was grabbing them before.
Right. And so was Soupy Sales was always pissed off too, because we would do that, I do not want you talking to anybody on that show. They steal the guests.
So what did I do? I stole Carol Burnett.
Oh Lord. Carol Burnett story. This is you can't make this stuff up. Soupy Sales walked into the studio whilst Carol Burnett was sitting next to Joey, and I'm facing both of them. And he walks into the studio unannounced and starts talking to Carol Burnett. Carol Burnett, she stands up. They're talking. We're doing a show, by the way, while this is going on, and we're looking at both of them and go, what the hell is this? And then Carol walks out with Soupy Sales. just walks out of the studio, and that was it. We never saw her. It was done. The interview was done. And we were left there sticking our fingers in places we probably shouldn't have. Well, what are you going to do? You had to do a show. So we just kept going.
Pull your ear.
It was funny. It was funny looking back at it, but he did that on purpose. He was trying to prove a point, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we were competing. We were competing because we were doing a personality show in the building where everybody had guest stars.
Yeah, right.
And I knew we weren't going to get off the ground unless we started to talk dirty, which is what Howard did. And they didn't want any of that. And I also didn't want to do that. So the other thing is that we had to have celebrities. This is a celebrity culture that we live in.
Sure.
I was watching, segueing into this, I was watching today somebody saying the reason why celebrities were so important during the Vietnam War and besides Bob Hope entertaining the troops, the endorsements from people for movements is because the American public is so obsessed with name value. They just people have this worship. They don't do that in other countries like we do here. I mean, I don't know if anyone knows that by virtue of comparison. Matter of fact, they turn the other way in England because it's kind of it's rude.
Yeah, it's
but what we do here is we send people with cameras and we send our kids in there. We stick, we give people notes. We do everything to get the attention of somebody whom we do not know.
Right.
I suppose the greatest honor is probably to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom when you're in the White House. I wouldn't bring a hooker. But
I'm sure that's happened.
I'm sure they didn't call them that. So that's it. I don't know. We're crazy with a few things that are endemic, and I don't know what's going to happen with America these days because I think we're not talking about what I'm concerned about. Not the color, not the women. We've overplayed all of this crap. And the election and all the politics that goes behind it and everybody running and vying for attention and he said and she said and he did wrong and he should have done that. I mean, all of this stuff, my head's swelling from it. But what we really have to think about is the residual effects, because after 9/11, which we lived through in New York, nobody was thinking about the inhaling of the lungs taking on the damage of the air. And we were not thinking about what the residual effects are. That happened to be one of them. Then the mental stuff is another story. But we have that with this. This is going to be something that you don't know what other body parts will get affected. We're not that far down the line yet.
Right.
And the other part of it is that you don't know mentally what the damage. I mean, I'm already damaged good anyway, but I'd say that to be funny. But, you don't know what's going to happen with your head.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are having some mental issues right now. It's because of being stuck inside, not being able to do what you want to do. People who may have had a bad marriage are having it worse now, or maybe better because of this by being together all the time. Kids being home constantly. There's a lot of issues here, but besides the not working issue in many cases, so we don't know what's going to happen here.
No, you have no idea where this is going. And I have a little bit of a concern because I'm thinking that some want to go back to what it was. I'm not one of those guys.
No.
I don't vote for that.
No.
First of all, I don't think anything is ever the way it was anyhow in my life. I would never want to go back to anything because that's a lesson learned. Yeah. And the joy of an occasion is a celebration. You're not going to have that again. I mean, you're going to have your 27th birthday party again. You're not going to do that. It's foolishness. So the wisdom of fools, they call it, where you want something to be the way it was. Well, nothing. I'm living with my ex-wife. It's never the way it was. It's always been lousy. It's not.
So it begs the question, why?
That's it. Oh yeah, does it?
It does.
No, what happened is we have a society of dunces, and there's much ado about nothing. We quote those phrases over and over again from someone who was much wiser than I. But, we have a different kind of a world right now because we're putting everything together. Now, one of the big dangers in the world of sanity, which is why we have therapists and why we do physical exercise so that we can have our blood flow and the correct amount of oxygen and have our good thinking. The reason we do all of this is so the brain can operate better with oxygen. That's what I'm thinking and told. We try to defeat that with chemicals years ago when I was doing the acid and all that other stuff. But the thing now that I am concerned about, which I mentioned, the mental wellness of myself and a country, is that we are doing what they do commonly when you walk into a therapy session and you haven't had that before. Very much like this president who's untreated. He doesn't have a therapist. Every president's had a therapist. I'm not saying it because you should vote for him or not vote for him. I'm just simply saying he's untreated. This is a narcissistic, untreated guy. And he knows it. And people don't mind his personality being off. They just want him to do the right thing. They don't care if we didn't care about the blowjob with Clinton. As long as you get the country going. Do you see?
No, I don't know that
well, people, they vote for him again. They'll vote for anybody again if you get us what we want to have. So my point that I'm about to make is that when you walk into a therapy session, we do what is commonly known as bundling. We walk in with everything that bothers us at once. Consequently, nothing gets addressed because everything is too much. Yeah. And not any one thing is prioritized. So when we walk into a session, for instance, if we wanted to have some help emotionally, we would walk in and say, okay, this is the thing that's bothering me right now, or this is the thing that I'm working on right now, or the thing that's in the way of whatever I want. That's the thing you walk in with. You don't walk in with, I have 12 things I don't like, or these things are all bothering me. But that's what we do as a country. We walk in with all of our complaints like God's Santa Claus, and you're going to sit on his lap and make an order. You don't go to the North Pole to straighten out a country.
But everybody's got different complaints. There are millions of different complaints. How do you homogenize it into one bowl and try to fix it? That's difficult.
You don't. It's life on life's terms. You do one at a time. Take the most important thing in your life and work on that until it's settled. Then you go to the next one. You prioritize. Yeah. That's what Warren Buffett does with money. Yeah. You want to use examples of people? This is what they do. They make a plan and they follow a plan. It's what salesmen do. First of all, they always tell you they never give up. Well, that's a lot of baloney. They do give up. Yeah. They give up when they don't get the order and they get fired. Then they give up. You go to the home office, you're done. So it's an arrogance. And, it's all under the banner of pride. And before the fall comes what? Not summer pride. So, we're guilty of that this is a nation that's very proud. We're more proud than we are active in our issues.
But we're fractured now. We're fractured.
Well, that's how you not solve anything. That's exactly that's the satanical plot. Yeah. Is that if you separate everybody, nothing will ever get solved. Wow. Because there's no one to support you. And what we're all really searching for is not money. We think it is. We think it's an illusion. Everybody needs money. We made a society where you have to pay the rent, and you got to eat, and you have to drive a car in most places. Money is important, but not important enough to fudge going to Harvard and then going to jail for it. I don't think it's that important to you. I think. No. So what's important, to get someone into Harvard? Or well, really, so it's priorities.
Yeah, and people are very interested in that story, and then you're hearing, well, she didn't get enough jail time to get her kids into college by bribing them.
Well, her timing was off, because if she had done that now, nobody would notice.
Yeah, nobody would.
The school's not open.
Right.
So what we have to do now is realize that parking tickets are not to be orderly for traffic, but they're rather fundraising. We're not honest.
Yeah.
And that's a small one. You know, if someone raises the tolls without asking your permission, that's not democracy.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, I mean, we so counter everything that has to do with money, and then we say it's not about money, or we do say that that the economy is the only thing that counts. Someone told me the other day that the market doing well has nothing to do with the economy. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I thought it was a good indicator that business is brisk or going to be brisk, or people are exchanging funds across the world. They said no. The market's its own animal. I thought, oh, I'm just learning. I never went to the Wharton School.
So it revolves around its own axis then. Yeah.
Yeah, and so does the Port Authority of New York, which has three states that are criminal. Yep. You know, if I might accuse them. And, you know, they do whatever the hell people want to do whatever the hell they want to do. And they want to. I have a friend, I'm stopping my sentence, who just now traveled. I'm not talking about Art Bolo. He traveled to visit all the disc jockeys before we all die.
I served him a bologna. I sold him a bologna sandwich last week here at my house.
Well, which is what he's been serving everybody for a lot of years. So now this is what happened with my other friend. He's rich. He's from Michigan. He got tired of just sitting at home like all of us. Mm-hmm. So he went to Arizona with his other home. Then he went to LA to watch the birth of his grandchild. And then went back to Arizona, back to Michigan, back again to LA to visit the kid 3 months later. And then went to the Napa Valley to get busy with a little bit of a vacation in the wine country. Right. And of course, you know, that's all burned. Now you're going to have a different kind of wine. The people who own the art, yeah, you know where this is going.
You're going to be whining.
That's it. That's exactly right. Yeah. So you got a guy who travels like that. And how do you travel like that when you know that there's this enemy thing, this virus?
Yeah.
What the hell are people going to places thinking it's okay? You know, what got okay? Just the weather, summer, idea that we're missing.
I think people feel as they're indestructible. I think when you're young, particularly, you think that nothing can happen to you. Nothing. No matter, you can't see it. You know, I don't care. You know, that's why people aren't wearing masks in a lot of cases. They don't care. They don't care. They think they're indestructible, and they're not worried about getting their relatives sick or friends.
Or the kids going to school who are going to carry it to a family. Huh. And, you know, that could happen. I don't wish it. I'm just saying it could. I have grandchildren. Yeah. I don't want them to be at risk, and you don't want them to catch anything. Although they're in a county where there's absolutely no deaths. But that doesn't mean there won't be one. Yeah. You know, I'm not with them, I hope. But, you know, this is awful where we have this permissiveness because it looks ordinary. It feels okay. You kind of think, you know, let me stick my toe out the door because it's not snowing right now. I'm from Buffalo. We know that summer thing is a joke.
It is. Any day now it'll start snowing. Any day.
Well, that's why there are plows on the front of everybody's boat. So when you live like this, which we're doing right now, and there's no one directing it, there's no one source saying, "Hey, you're a bunch of fools. Stay home."
Right. All the governors are saying one thing, different things about stuff. The president, you know, you name it. You get different information every day.
The thing that got everybody when I was a kid was the atom bomb. We all went under the desk in a drill.
I remember.
And then we came out from under the desk, and then we went home and we did what we all could do.
Went outside and played.
and you know, I lived at Patsy's in Harlem, the original one. And at that time, I wasn't here for World War. I wasn't there. Thank you. But Frank Sinatra was having an affair with David Gardner, and this is a true story. And they had a thing where you couldn't go outside. You're not supposed to go out, and you were not supposed to. The sirens would go off, and they had a scare, you know.
Yeah.
And so what you did is you hide with turning the lights off. and all the electricity, so that the enemy, if they're flying over, they don't see any lights in buildings. So this will throw them off much before the sophisticated radar and before Google.
Yeah.
So, you know, so what happened was, now Sinatra and his party, they would put black shades on the windows and continue on inside in the back room. They didn't have a regard for the war. They did, but they worked around it. So that's what I'm suggesting. We have spent more time figuring out what color mask we're going to wear.
Oh, I know.
And what facial attire we're going to have, and how we're going to make money off of our statements on T-shirts. And you know what they are.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out, we're spending more time working around the issue than we are solving the issue.
Yeah, let's solve this thing. Come on.
If we put as much effort into this, we would have 2 other viruses solved.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Pfizer or any one of the companies that has everything to profit. So my thought is that we are spending too much time working around stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of walking through the fear. And, you know, I don't mean to go out and take a chance. I mean, I'm in Florida. Do you know how many people today are gathering and think it's okay? The weather's nice. Look at it. There's people in the yard last night. When I go to the pool, if someone else is in that pool, I don't jump in.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I don't know what's going to happen in that pool.
Yeah.
I don't know if that disease has traveled. I don't know if it gets kicked in by any of the chemicals. I don't have an idea.
Yeah. No, and nobody does.
All I know is we got these little ants, and I don't know where they come from. And there's one on my ass every day. It's the same one too.
There are so many jokes, not enough time.
If I could get one of my ants to leave me money and to get off my ass.
Yeah, that's wow.
No, I think somewhere along the line, I've got to stop telling bad jokes. This is what happens. So you get, people start to forget you because you're corny or you're too old, and they want to do it their way. And they think something else is really cool and really funny because it's their entry level of society, which we've all gone through.
I think we all want somebody to speak the truth, period. I really do. And you're speaking the truth based on what you know.
Yeah, and if I had a big audience, I would be killed. Because they don't want, you know, I mean, you know, someone would want to buy me off, which isn't a bad idea. And not a bad idea.
No.
I could even be a Trumper or a persuade or Joe's best friend. Just send me the money.
Yeah, really.
No, seriously, we gotta stop taking these chances. I mean, we took the chance with Monopoly, and we don't want to take the chance with the other Parker Brothers game, which is Chances and Sorry.
Yeah.
Boy, are they named well.
They are. Yeah.
Their lifestyle.
Looks like it's getting windy there. Are you getting that hurricane at all? You're not getting that.
No, that's just my hot air, but we're going to go. I was just thinking about the Prepare, how they're suing the Prepare. That's how I started this broadcast, you know.
Yes. Prepare, yes.
Apple doesn't want you to call the company to have a Pear logo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like they're gonna really be beaten down by someone's artwork.
Yeah, well, the Beatles had enough money to be able to stop them from suing them. You know.
Well, they had Apple.
Yeah, both named Apple. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a company that I started called Hollywood Records, and now it's owned by Disney. And that was my company. I got the records in the garage. You want some?
Yeah.
You know, from 1980, long before they had that company.
Yeah.
But you know, what are you going to do? Spend your life in court?
Yeah. I don't want to.
All right. So I guess we've kind of exhausted this today.
Maybe.
We're going to bring Kreskin here. The amazing Kreskin is known as a mentalist, and there's a picture of him wearing a bulletproof vest. And it looks like he's got the backpack on backwards. Because, you know, I mean, it doesn't fit him. Now, here's a guy who's a mentalist. He tells you who the next president is long before the election, but he can't find the Lincoln Tunnel.
Wow.
And he can't think.
I know.
Of course, my favorite story with these guys is Yuri Geller. And Yuri Geller was the mentalist from Israel. Remember him?
Bended the spoon, yeah.
The mind bender, right?
Yes, yeah.
And what he did with my producer at the radio show is she was very attractive, and he bent her key to her apartment on the air. The bad news is he couldn't bend it back. So she had to spend the night with him.
There you go. See? Okay. Wrap it up. There you go. Punchline.
Can't blame him. There it is. All right. So Jay Sorensen. You can go to Jay Sorensen. The real Jay Sorensen. Is that what you're calling yourself?
No, I'm on Facebook. Big Jay Sorensen.
Big Jay.
Yeah.
You're not that big anymore. You got to get rid of that.
Not as big as I was. No, thankfully.
No. So you're looking a lot better.
Thank you.
So you're fired.
Yeah, I need to be the big guy, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because then there's more jokes.
And we're done with this for today.
Yeah.
We may never be able to do this again, or this may never be seen.
Never know.
God willing.
Yeah.
Let a smile be your umbrella, but don't get a mouthful of rain.